All right, let's dive into a story from a time before the internet. A time when one man on a small local radio station held the fate of every single kid in town right in the palm of his hands.
So yeah, this explainer, it's all about that man. And it's about the absolute chaos that happened one legendary snow day when his voice just vanished from the airwaves, leaving an entire town completely in the dark.
So you might be wondering, why would one guy going quiet cause such a total meltdown? Well, to get it, you've really got to remember how snow days used to work. It wasn't just some alert on your phone. No. It was this huge emotional, almost religious ritual.
It was a sacred process, you know? It always started with that pure, unfiltered hope when you first looked out the window and saw the world was just blanketed in white. Then it moved on to this really tense moment where a parent would go look at the driveway, and it always ended with the whole family huddled around a crackling radio, just waiting for the final judgment. And you know, the real make or break moment was often just this one little sound a parent would make. That single syllable held two completely opposite futures. It could mean glorious freedom, a day of video games and hot chocolate, or it could mean the cold, hard reality of manual labor. And right smack in the middle of this whole thing was our local radio DJ, Chip Delaney. This guy had a voice like warm toast, you know? He always sounded like he was smiling, even when he was just reading the farm report. He was a local celebrity, for sure. But on snow days, he was basically king. And seriously, let's be clear here. Chip held all the cards. If he read the name of your school district, you were free. If he skipped over you, your day was completely doomed. It was that simple.
Okay, so that sets the stage for the legendary morning when the system didn't just bend, it completely shattered. The morning the announcer of destiny just went missing in action.
I mean, on this one Tuesday, the snow wasn't just falling. It was like a full-on hostile takeover. So I did the ritual, woke up, ran to the radio, and there he was, Chip's voice starting the sacred list. Everything seemed totally normal. At first, he reads a few closings, then he kind of mutters something about an issue with the list from the fax machine. And then, poof, he's gone. Live on air, you hear this, a muffled thud, the sound of a chair scraping back, and then just dead air, which was, of course, quickly replaced by that awful, generic, emergency filler music that stations play when the human in charge is, well, no longer in charge. And in that single moment, the fate of every kid in town was just hanging in the balance. There was no Chip, there was no official list, and absolutely no closure. For a kid waiting to hear that magic word, I swear it felt like the worst thing that had ever happened in the history of the world. You know, when a system people rely on just breaks, they don't exactly react calmly. They improvise, and, let's be honest, they almost always improvise badly. Within minutes, what you had was a rumor economy. It was like an analog version of going viral, spreading faster than the snow. Every piece of third-hand, my cousin's neighbor knows a guy information was treated like gospel, and then it was immediately contradicted by some other piece of nonsense. Then this new voice comes on, some kid, an intern probably, named Tyler, and he sounded like he had never spoken into a microphone in his life and was really regretting his decision to ever learn how to read. His panicked stammering just threw gasoline on the town's fire of anxiety. Of course, you know how it goes in a small town when things fall apart, right? Everybody heads to the diner. It's the one place with hot coffee and all the gossip. So it immediately turned from a breakfast joint into this, ad hoc command center for snow day intelligence gathering. The chaos really hit its peak when one dad, in a moment of sheer brilliance, actually got the school janitor, Mr. Givens, on the phone. After confirming that, yes, he was at the school, but no, he wasn't going to plow anything yet, he was asked what he thought was going to happen. And he delivered this absolute legendary line, sending everyone right back to the broken system they were desperately trying to get away from. So, right when everyone's about to give up, around 8:17, just as hope was pretty much lost, you hear something on the radio. A sound, a laugh, and you know exactly whose laugh it is. He was back. Chip was back. And you could practically feel the entire town just leaning closer to their radios, holding a collective breath, waiting for the winter announcer of destiny to please restore order to the universe. So Chip, cool as a cucumber, explains what happened. And the difference between what everyone thought happened, heart attacks, kidnappings, and what actually happened,
Oh, it was just perfect. There was no grand conspiracy. He was just attacked by his breakfast. And then he said it. He read the name of our school district, took this perfect, dramatic pause, and just delivered the one single word every single kid was praying for. Man, it was like a wave of pure, uncut joy just washed over every house in the county. But here's where it gets really interesting. Chip didn't just stop at the school closings. Oh no. He had the whole town's attention, and he decided to, use it. He basically started governing. He starts issuing these, I guess you'd call them executive orders, from the DJ booth. And people loved it. Why? Because in the middle of all the crazy rumors and uncertainty, he sounded calm, he sounded human, and he sounded like he was on our side.
But the full story, the real twist, it was even better. See, the coffee didn't just make a mess on the floor. It completely took out the single most important piece of technology at the radio station at that moment, the fax machine. The whole incident forced a complete manual reboot of their information system, with poor Tyler and the crew frantically calling every school like it was 1950.
And that's really the whole point, isn't it? Chip didn't just give people information. He gave them comfort. He was honest about the mess, and that honesty, that humanity, made everyone feel calmer. The town didn't need a perfect system. They just needed a trusted voice to walk them through the broken one.
It really makes you stop and think, right? Our modern systems, they're super efficient, for sure. But in the process of automating everything, maybe we've lost that crucial, comforting human touch that got a small town through one legendary coffee-stained snow day.